What's up everyone, welcome back to Just Finished Coding. This is part 4 of our Alien Shooter or Space Invaders game development series on Scratch 3. So let's get coding.
Just finished coding.
Now quick interjection here, if you've not watched parts 1 to 3, please watch them before you come here because we're picking up from where we left off and you'll be very lost. I'll leave a card for you right here. Please watch the videos and then come right back. If you're still here, I'm going to assume that you've watched parts 1 to 3, in which case you should have quite a bit of your Space Invaders game set up. And in this video, we'll be setting up not just, all of the disappearances, because when the zombie touches the starfighter, the zombies don't hide, and there are still a couple of more things we need to do. But we'll also set up the next level animations as well as the clock. So without further ado, let's get right into our code. First, I'm going to head over to the zombie sprite and add in a couple of lines of code. I'm also going to zoom in so that you guys can see better. And right here, after we set create clones to be no, we will also be setting sprite movement to be no. So set sprite movement to be no. And just like the create clones variable, this is going to restrict the flow of bullets as well as zombies. Although we've basically stopped the number of clones being created, it's good to add that for good measure. So the next thing I'm going to do is to have this reception of this message. So when I receive explosion, in this case, I don't want to hide, but I just want to delete all of the clones instead. So when I receive explosion, head over to control and just grab this block which says delete the clone. And yep, that is pretty much it. So now when you hit the green flag and the zombies are going to take a while to come, but when they do come and they touch your starfighter, all of them should be gone just like that. And well, it's now time to move on to the end screen right here. But what I'll do first is program the clock so that we have a working next level, and then we'll get into the end screen. Okay, so now you can create a new sprite, and this time just click paint a new sprite, and you don't really have to paint anything, just head back to the code. And I'm going to call the sprite as clock, which is pretty much what it does. So when I receive initialize, that's going to be the start of your code, just like the zombie sprite and all of that. So when we do receive initialize, we will be hiding a couple of variables, and it's also time to make one for all sprites, and this is going to be called time left. That's what I'm going to call it. Maybe I'll call it seconds left. No, I'll just call it time left. This is easier. Okay, so now you can click OK and make sure you set it for all sprites, just like I said. And you don't have to set anything here within initialize. What you can do is just have a couple of show variables. So we'll show variable level, we'll show variable score, and we'll also show the time left. So where's that? Yep, here. And I'm going to move this to the top right corner right there. So show time left. And the reason I'm doing this is because we will be hiding them during the end screen. So it's pretty important we show it right now. Okay, so once you're done with that, now head over to events once again. Grab another when I receive and change that to be start game. And in this case, we'll be sending up our time left to be 30 because that's the duration of each level. So set time left to be 30. And after this, we'll be having a repeat until loop. And you can grab a repeat until loop. And within this condition, it's going to be not just the time, but we'll also be checking for the create clones. So now I'm going to grab an OR from the operators and not equals to an OR. And here I'm going to say repeat until either create clones is equal to no or time left is equal to 0. So these two are the two conditions, and I'll explain why I'm doing this. Just hold on for a second. So repeat until time left equals 0 or create clones is equal to no. And remember, create clones will be yes when the initialize message is broadcasted. So it's pretty safe to assume that during start game initially, create clones will be set to yes. Okay, so now within this, I'm just going to say wait for 1 second and then change time left by 1. Very simple code. So change time left by 1, not 1, sorry, -1. So the timer is going to keep coming down, and I'm just going to hit the green flag to make sure that you guys know it's working. All right, perfect. So the reason I'm typing in this create clones is after this repeat until, I'm going to have some code. And within that code, I want to know, I want to have some way of knowing whether this create clones variable was actually, I want to have some way of knowing whether we broke out of this loop because the game ended or whether it was because our timer went to 0. So if the timer went to 0, then we'll have to just go to the next level, which means we have to reset our clock and all of that. But if it was an explosion, then we will have to hide all these variables and basically stop this entire code. So that's the reason I have create clones. So right after this repeat until, I'm going to have an if else, and within this if, I'm first going to check if create clones is equal to yes, and I might just duplicate that right there. And here I'll actually change it to yes, okay? And what I'm going to do is if create clones is equal to yes, then I'll be doing another check where we check if the level is 4, then we change it to the win screen, and if it's not, then we just move on to the next level. But first I'll be coding in this else right here. So if this is not the case, then I will be doing the reverse of initialize basically. So I will head over to variables, grab a hide variable, and we will hide the level, then we will hide the score, and then finally we will also hide the time left. And this is when the explosion happens. So it, kind of makes sense. So hide variable, what did we not hide? Yeah, hide variable time left. And now it's time to get into what happens if the create clones is set to yes. So here, like I said, I'm going to have an if else, and I'm going to check what the level is. So I'll be saying if not, level is equal to 4. And level 4 is basically the end of this game. So I'll say if not, level equals 4. Then what I'm going to do is set sprite movement to be no, so that the player can't move while the animation is on for the next level. So set sprite movement to be no. And after this, we will also change level by 1. And what this is going to do is taken this condition of the starfighter where we had our spaceship, not spaceship animation, where we had this start game, and level is no longer going to be equal to current level, and we're going to exit this repeat until loop to the spaceship animation. The spaceship animation in turn is going to broadcast this level complete message, and what this level complete message is going to do is trigger the next level animation. So that's the general idea. But before I code that, what I will do is head over to this clock sprite once again and finish coding this else statement. So things are going to be pretty much the same within the else statement. So we're going to have hide all these variables. Then we will also be setting create clones to be no, but instead of the usual thing of broadcasting explosion, which is what I think we did in explosion, not explosion, in the zombie sprite, I'm going to broadcast another message called player wins, which is going to take you to the end screen. So I'm going to say broadcast, player wins, and hide. So not hide and wait. You can really just have a broadcast player wins. I just prefer to do this. So not player hide, player wins. Alright, just click OK. And that is pretty much all you need in your clock sprite. So now within choose a sprite, click on upload sprite, and this time you want to click on the one which says level up. And this is just some basic text right here which I wrote, and we'd just like it to go to the center and show whenever we're changing the level and the level is not equal to 4. So I'm going to say when I receive initialize, then I will be hiding, and I'll also be going to some particular position. So within motion, grab this go to, and I'm going to say go to x0 y minus 10. That's going to be the position. And when we receive what I don't remember what that was called, I think show level completer, then we will just show ourselves. And yep, that is pretty much all you will need. So when we finally actually complete a level and the time left goes to 0, you can see that everything hides, including the starfighter, and we had a pretty neat level up message. And that is already pretty cool. Alright, so now it's time to finish up with our game by coding in the end screen. So I'm going to head over first to the starfighter, and I'm going to say when I receive player wins, then I will not just hide, but I will also do a couple of more things. So hide, and I will switch the backdrop to be win, and I think we switched the backdrop to be space initially. Yep, we did. And after we switch the backdrop to be win, I am going to I believe just stop all. I think that is pretty much all we will need right here. Now I'm going to head over to the explosion sprite, and just like the player, I'm going to switch the background. So switch background to be not win but lose, and after this I will be stopping all of the code. And it's pretty important to know that at this point we haven't broadcasted a message for you lose, but what I'm going to do is make sure the variables hide when we receive explosion itself. so that we don't really have any problems. And I think we set that up already, where if the zombie comes, the entire screen just goes blank. And just let's test this out. So when we do touch it, let's just see if we switch the background. So boom, we switch. Yep, the variables still aren't hidden yet. So that's what we'll have to code right now. Alright, I'm not entirely sure what happened there, because now when I'm testing my code out once again, the zombies just hit the starfighter and all of these things, all of these variables just hide out. And as you can see, when we touch it, boom, and the variables are gone. But just for good measure, what I'm going to do is hide those 3 variables. So after, or rather before we switch the backdrop to be loose, we will be hiding variable level, we will hide variable score, and we will also hide the variable time left. I'm not entirely sure what went wrong there. Things should have worked, but anyway, not score, time left. Alright, perfect. That is pretty much going to be all you need to do right here. And it's time to actually hide all of these guys when the game switches out to you win. So what I'm going to do is head over to the starfighter sprite. No, we did in the starfighter. I'm going to head over to the bullet sprite. And what I'm going to do is say when I receive either of the 2 messages. So if I receive player wins, then I delete this clone. And also if I receive not stop all, delete this clone. And also if I receive lose, I think player loses, I'm not sure what explosion, then we will also delete this clone. And the same thing goes for goes to the zombies. So just like we did for the explosion, I'm going to do the same thing when we receive player wins. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be your Space Invaders game. Just to show you that the program works, I'm going to move on to the you win end screen, and you will see that it pops up. Alright, so we have 5 seconds left right here, and as soon as the clock timer hits 0, you can see that boom, we just switch over to the you win screen, and that is pretty much what we need. And right before I end the video, I'm going to do one more thing, and that is to speed up our code a little bit. So what you can do is to paint a new sprite. I'm just going to call it speeder, because this will just speed up your code. And instead of having the starfighter initially, just put in your speeder right there. And what this is going to do is basically, since you have no code here, it's not going to show those yellow little glows around the code which is executing. So this will make sure your code is a bit faster, and since the visual appearance of the code doesn't really matter to the user, this will speed up your code slightly, and it will be more noticeable for bigger games, but it's still better to add it wherever you are coding. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure you click on the playlist on your screen right here, and that'll take you to a brand new game segment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next series.